know that.
Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. Tim, Alonso, it's the two-part season finale of season 3 of Fear the Walking Dead. Things Bad Begun and Sleigh Ride. Wow, well, okay. Things are happening, things happen.
Things have happened.
People died. Although, I just want to say, first of all, could AMC maybe not put in the opening credits of the show that Cliff Curtis was going to be in part 2? Like,
and it was like in part 2 and in part 1. Okay, if you're just in part 1, that means you died in part 1 and you're not going to make it to part 2. Please just let me figure it out.
Yeah,
be surprised.
I mean, not that they're necessarily all dead. Like, I think Alicia's friend might turn up again.
Right.
But yeah,
we don't really even know what Clarks are alive.
No, we don't. Let's start at the end. Let's start at the end.
Backwards? Okay.
The dam blows, so we know that Madison swims to shore. Alicia was on a boat with her. Strand was on a boat with her. Where are they? We don't know. Standing on the top of the dam, Nick and Daniel
and John Proctor.
Don't know what. Is that one of the Pilgrims?
John Proctor. The Crucible?
That's it.
John Proctor.
Proctor. Good catch. I knew that.
7th grade English. All right.
We don't know who made it out of that. Although scuttlebutt on the internet is because now word is out apparently that there's a Fear of the Walking Dead crossover happening,
which nobody needs. But fine.
I wasn't holding my breath for it, but whatever. Apparently, since Proctor John mentioned the notion of going to what's left of Houston, that would potentially have him cross paths with the Michael Cudlett's character, who his family survived in a grocery store in Houston for a long time before joining the. I've never seen The Walking Dead, so I don't know.
Sure.
These are things I read on the internet, so they must be true. So that's, we don't know. This show's Moldavian Massacre. We could come back in here and who's alive, who's dead. We just know that Madison is.
Okay, alive.
So. Yeah, so the Proctors decide that they're going to take the dam. Who told them about the dam?
So they were always going to take the dam.
I see.
They sort of knew about it.
Okay.
But then Strand offered them the easy way in.
Oh, right, of course.
To save the Clarks and to save himself.
Right, he was going to get them a sort of their exit visas. I knew that Strand had made that deal with them, but I wasn't sure if that was how they knew about the dam's existence.
Well, the Water Queen was well known.
I see.
In the area, even as far as the
right. Oh, that's true, of course, with the truck and the
right.
Yes. Okay. So that was their big plan, and Strand, of course, was facilitating. And you've got so they're planting the C4. You've got Daniel torturing Nick to find out whose fault it is that Ophelia died. Nick manages to convince him that it was Troy. Jake, but not Troy. But then when Madison learns that it was indeed Troy, she kills him.
Which is a shame because I think that was a really convincing lie of Nick's. He really got it together there at the end.
Yeah, no. I mean,
the master interrogator.
And I think that's sort of one of those like switcheroos of this show where you think like, aha, well then he's safe. Oh no, he's not.
Not safe.
Madison is haunted by guilt that sort of manifests as this, she talks in the first half about one of the things that she sort of misses about civilization is the idea of like, Christmas morning and, making a Christmas dinner and all that kind of stuff.
Children and grandchildren and friends.
Exactly, babies on Christmas morning. And so then her vision of guilt is all of these people whose death she either directly or indirectly has caused sort of gathering around the table. Whatever costume designer came up with that satiny blue top was not doing anybody any favors. That was a bad choice.
Which is a shame because I think Strand looked really good in his Christmas
looked great. Yes,
sharp.
I could tell all the actors were like, "Oh, I get to take a shower before I get on camera. This is going to be great." Like with a roof, yeah. So that was a cool contrast to the rest of the show.
I really enjoyed those scenes, especially when. I took it to be that all of that flashback happened at the end when she's underwater and coming to, and we just kind of got pieces of it,
definitely,
because of her inability to like speak out loud and the muffled sounds underwater. Right. I thought it was compelling and interesting.
Yeah, and they ultimately connect those two things with where she's drowning in the dirt and
And we got our Travis cameo. We got our Luciana,
which was ruined for
cameo.
us. Yes. I know a lot of like the bearded guy from the ranch.
Right.
It was like, okay,
didn't know his name, but there he is.
Exactly. That's you remember that face.
And you were there, and you were there.
Exactly. I'm gonna miss you most of all, Scarecrow. So Alicia becomes invaluable to the Proctors when she has apparently enough notion of how to sort of be a nurse, kind of, to work with James LeGros as a defrocked doctor who has to do major surgery on John Proctor. That's what I'm gonna call him from now on.
I don't know if it's just the current zeitgeist, but I thought his history of sexual assault was going to be much a bigger part of his character. Like he got
the doctor or Proctor.
He lost his license because of some uppity bitch in California.
Right. Yeah, I think. Look, they had 2 episodes to tie up this season. I'm sure if we get him, if he survived the dam blowing up, we may revisit that.
Probably not.
We'll put a pin in it, but I wouldn't count on it.
Man, that was a quick recovery from spinal surgery.
No kidding, right? I mean, like, okay, fine, I'll buy the toe wriggling, but you're walking, like, and do you have a cane? I mean, it was just like, oh yeah, I guess he did have a cane. But still, yeah, that was, but it's the apocalypse. No one's got time for recovery anymore. What else is going on? I'm just, because now that we'd go backwards, it's totally throwing me off. Strand, when Strand is getting Madison drunk, like I was immediately like, oh no, something bad is happening here. Like there's just something, like when they got drunk together at the hotel last season, that was an organic moment, and then it made it interesting because then they had to fight off walkers. But in this one, it was just like, oh, he's handing her that bottle.
Let me ease you into my obvious betrayal.
Yeah, totally. But the whole thing with I did the scene. Sorry to jump back and forth. Sure. Where he's holding the gun on Daniel, and Daniel saying, "You are a con man. You are a lot of things, but you are not somebody who can kill somebody." And then Daniel speeds up the whole thing by grabbing the gun and essentially shooting himself, but in a way that I guess he could survive because he's fucking Rasputin, and there's no killing this guy.
Yeah, I mean, Strand needed to get shook.
Sure.
That's the one crack in his armor that we've seen so far, and like the worst thing he's ever had to done. And we've seen him do a lot of shit.
True. Yeah.
So clearly, violence is not in his wheelhouse.
Yeah. I mean, he can indirectly kill any number of people, but as far as actually pulling the trigger, that's a whole nother thing. Let's cut back to the beginning where we have Nick harvesting walkers, the fresh ones, for their
adrenaline glands or whatever.
Yeah. Which I was surprised got kind of dropped along the way. I mean, like, obviously he's still a junkie, and Madison calls him out for the fact that he's using again.
I almost want to say they wrote that scene to like show how he was like addicted to drugs again. And then they're like, that's really gonna tie up the rest of this episode that needs him to be sober. So he's making money now, that's fine. He's not gonna use anymore. He's just making some scratch on the Side.
Well, what I thought it was gonna be, and this might yet become a thing later, is that I thought that was gonna sort of ingratiate him with the Proctors, and that he was gonna sort of introduce them to a new drug trade that they didn't know about. In a world where like the stuff that grows is not easy to get your hands on anymore. It's hard to maintain a poppy field or a pot.
Not without water from the dam.
Treehouse, so. but zombies with adrenal glands are everywhere. So I don't know. I thought that's maybe where they were going with it. I was surprised they didn't, but
yeah, they did the old switcheroo and made Alicia with the N for having.
Right.
For knowing what a spine is. That was her qualification.
Well, she has very good bedside manner.
She does.
If you're gonna have spinal surgery under a local, then she's the person you want. As bad as that
surgery scene was, their little interaction was actually pretty nice.
Yeah, I bought it. I bought it for sure. You're the notes guy. What are we leaving out?
I mean, the whole second half of the second episode was the Mexican standoff in Mexico with the C4
detonator.
Switch.
Yeah.
It wasn't a dead man switch though, so they could have just shot him at any time. But that's fine.
Yeah, that's true. And I did like the return appearance of the Nation as snipers. That was a fun little.
Yeah, I mean, luckily they told us 8 episodes ago that he was a sniper, so that was actually sort of believable.
Well, and given the general existence of the nation and their mode of operation, even if like you had just now sprung it on me that also he's a sniper, like I'd buy it.
In a post-apocalyptic world,
yeah, it scans with everything else we know about these guys. So yeah, sure, okay. And well, like, okay, we know they're alive.
we know that 2 of the nation are alive,
yes.
And they have heard that more went north, so they are going north.
Right.
Spin-off series.
I don't know. I think this show is actually. I think this was a really strong season for Fear.
I agree.
And apparently the numbers aren't great, and I don't know if that matters. If it's the sort of thing where like if AMC wants to keep OG Walking Dead, then this one remains afloat no matter what. But no, I think they are willing to like I said, they from when they killed off Cliff Curtis, like they're willing to dig into the main ensemble as far as like casualties go, even and they're keeping the main ensemble fairly small because they keep killing off anybody who comes in contact with the Clark family. So it's a lean and mean show as opposed to, I don't watch Walking Dead, but my understanding is it's
a pretty big cast.
Bloat is setting in terms of just like the enormous number of speaking parts. Yeah, and I obviously I'm biased about Kim Dickens, but I think she's done some standout work this year. I forgot that you could say fuck on AMC.
Yes, she got her fucking. Fuck you, Nick. Fuck you, Nick, for thinking I'd murder you.
Would she though?
I mean, he would have to make a lot more questionable decisions. He would have to stick up for Troy one time too many.
Because my thing with her is that she'll do anything it takes to keep her family safe. So I think the only thing that would make her kill Nick would be if he was somehow a threat to Alicia.
But then remember, in her dream sequence, Alicia is the one that's dead.
That's true.
Nick lives.
Right.
So what does that say about her guilt? That Nick is more likely to survive, or she's more likely to make the other sacrifice?
Good question. I don't know. I don't know what that means exactly, because obviously, if we're to take it that entire sequence is happening while she's half drowning, then she does know that Alicia is alive at that point. It's not like this is happening before Alicia rises the dam.
Right. She knows that Nick was the one that blew the dam, and it was his suicide note.
Yeah.
So why is he alive in the dream?
Good question. I'm sure the comments will tell us why. I won't read them, but thank you for sharing nonetheless.
I'll glance at them, sure. Give me your best shot, I wanna know.
So yeah, anything else for this season in toto?
No, I think it was a good season between the ranch and the dam and the emergence and disappearance of the Ottos, the development of the kids, especially as characters.
Yeah. The marketplace, even I thought was kind of a cool little microcosm of things going on.
And I think they made some really interesting cinematography choices. I think they made some interesting music choices, stuff that the Walking Dead doesn't really get into.
Really?
So I don't know. I was pleased with the season. I think people that only watch The Walking Dead and not this are sleeping on a good show.
Yeah, and as somebody who doesn't watch the other one, this one I think is a self-contained universe, and I don't feel like I'm only getting half an experience by not having seen the show.
I have to explain very few Walking Dead things to you, so you get it. He gets it.
When the crossover happens, I'm sure there will be things you can walk me through. But in the meantime, all right. Well, listen, this has been another season. Thanks for joining us for this, and we'll be back for season 4. Come on back.